And welcome back to Point Shaver. Today we're going to be talking about Yusuf Zalal versus Aljamain Sterling. We're going to be going over the entire fight card, going over predictions and who do I think wins and the methods of how they win. Unfortunately, this will be my last video with this computer and in this background of this household. We got Zach, who is the person that helps me film. He's going to be moving, so if you guys can comment, say we'll miss you, Zach, in the comments, that would be awesome. But to go over the first fight, we have Talita Alencar versus Julia Palastri. So Alencar, really good jiu-jitsu, not really much good on the feet, very one-dimensional. And when she does get you to the ground, I mean, the jiu-jitsu is hard to argue with, and the grappling is just a huge advantage for her against Palastri. But I think Palastri, with the fight staying on the feet, I think she's just such a better striker. She's got really good head kicks, really good straight and forward strikes, good jabs, good combinations. She has good cardio. She's able to push a pace and push forward the entire fight. I see her breaking Alencar maybe around the second or third round. I don't see it if Alencar can't land a takedown or get much control time that she'll be able to have much success in this fight. So I'm going to go with Palastri to get it done. I see her getting this done actually by TKO. Third round TKO. I see her getting a stoppage. I think Alencar will tire out. The cardio won't be too good for her after 2 rounds. And yeah, just the output from Palastri will be too much for her. I see her getting a finish in the 3rd round by TKO. And then the next fight, we have Max Griffin versus Victor Valenzuela. I believe Valenzuela is making his debut into the UFC. Watch a little bit of tape on him. I like his boxing. He doesn't seem too fast or too explosive with his striking. He throws a lot of combinations and doesn't seem to have too much power in his hands, at least from the tape that I watched. He seems like he's going to be much slower than Max Griffin. They seem like they're going to have a pretty good stylistic matchup because both of them are good boxers. Both of them like to go upstairs and, bring in some body shots. Both have pretty good leg kicks. I see this fight staying on the feet for the entirety of the match. I just think Max Griffin, he's fought Michael Morales. He's fought Neil Magny. He's fought names of names, a who's of who inside of this division. And, Valenzuela's never fought anybody to that level of competition. And, even when he fought Morales, even in Chris Curtis in his last fight, it was a very competitive, close fight. He fought him to a decision. He fought Michael Morales to a decision. He's fought Michael Chiesa. I think he got submitted by him. But nonetheless, he's fought the top level of guys inside the UFC or, top contenders at the time. And Valenzuela's never fought somebody of that caliber or level. I think Max Griffin's going to be a little too, savvy of a veteran. I think he's going to be too quick for him. I think the striking is going to be a little bit of a disadvantage for Valenzuela because he has good striking and good combinations. I just think that Griffin will get to the target quicker, and that's ultimately what will decide it. I do think this fight goes to decision. I think it'll go all 3 rounds. I think Griffin will start off pretty fast, and I think he could probably steal the 1st and 2nd round, but when it gets to the 3rd, maybe Valenzuela finds some success. But I'm going to go with the underdog here, Max Griffin, to get it done by judges' scorecard, 29-28. I see him getting the victory here at the age of 40. And then the next fight, we have Francis Marshall versus Lucas Brennan. Brennan is another guy making his debut. This is just kind of a mirror match, except on one side you have Francis Marshall, who's 2 years older, and Brennan on the other side, 2 years younger. And it looks like on tape, it looks like these guys are practically the same. It just looks like Brennan is 2 years behind when it comes to the grappling and maybe the striking and everything. I do think Francis Marshall, with the UFC experience, with the grappling and his striking, I think it's just a little bit better than Brennan everywhere. I think maybe Brennan in 2 years could be potentially pretty good. I think he's still just a little too raw. He's a little too he gets too headstrong when he goes in for takedowns and he's unsuccessful. He'll keep trying a 2nd and 3rd and 4th time, which typically can be good, but sometimes he'll put himself in bad positions to be able to try to get a takedown, and I think that can hurt him or land him in a submission or get him, mounted, etc., things of that nature. So I think Marshall's just better. I think the striking's a little bit better. He's got obviously a lot more experience. He's fought Myron Santos. He's fought Bazushiga, the guy that just got knocked out last weekend. He's fought William Gomes. He's had, good competition, unlike Brennan, who's not fought anybody, I believe, in the UFC. So for those reasons, I'm going to go with Francis Marshall to get it done. I think he's going to get it done by submission. It's going to be a lot of grappling, I think, early on. I think Brennan, the inexperience, will get him put in a bad position. And I think Francis Marshall will take advantage of it. I'll say about first or second round, and I'll say he wins it by guillotine. So Francis Marshall gets it done by submission. And in the next fight, we have Jafel Filho versus Cody Durden. To me, this is a pretty easy match to predict. I think the grappling of Filho is better with the submissions and being a little bit more offensive with his grappling. And obviously the striking for me is much more explosive and more dangerous than Cody Durden. Durden's had some stinkers as of late. I do think Filho will be able to land the bigger shots. I do think if it goes to the ground, he'll be a little bit more able to, be put in positions where he can get submissions and be able to finish the fight. I think he's just better everywhere. And for those reasons, I think pretty easy pick here. I think Filho gets it done. I'm going to say he gets it done by TKO. I think he'll land a big shot on the feet, and then he'll follow up with some shots on the ground. It's a pretty big mismatch. I think Cody Durden's near the end of his career. Filho's just now getting into the prime. Durden's 35, coming off multiple losses. Don't love it. And Filho, I think, just got a submission win in his last fight. So for me, pretty easy decision. I think Filho gets it done by TKO in the first round. And in the next fight, we have Mayra Bueno Silva versus Michelle Montague. This is a pretty interesting fight. At one time, Mayra Bueno Silva was up there in the top 5, trying to compete for titles. Now, she's obviously been on a couple of losses lately. I think most recently she came off a loss against Cavalcanti or something of that nature. And then she also lost to Jazz Devicius. So she didn't really have a good 2025. And then Michelle Montague coming onto the scene, she's been dominant. She's a really, really strong grappler. She has really good submissions, really good takedowns. You don't really see this in women's MMA where you're getting picked up and slammed, over the shoulder. And the grappling is just super aggressive. Her striking is solid. I think Bueno Silva will probably have a little bit better striking potentially, but I think the pressure will negate all of that of Montague pushing forward, and the threat of the takedown will just negate any of Mayra Bueno Silva's offense. And I think that Montague's going to control her, and I think she'll eventually get a finish. Montague, I think, is just too good at the spot. I think they're going to put a rocket on her back, and they're going to shoot her up the top 10 immediately and get her fighting near the top contenders pretty soon. She's very good, very well-rounded, and she's one of the strongest grapplers in the division. So for those reasons, I'm going to go with Montague to get it done. I think she gets it done second round submission. I think in the first round you'll see a lot of control time, a lot of grappling. And then in the second round, I think Montague gets it down again. Mayra Bueno Silva, is a little too eager to try to stand back up, gives up her back, and I think she gets choked. So I got Montague winning it by second round submission. And in the next fight, we have Jackson McVeigh versus Cedric Dumas. Dumas, recently in his last fight, I think he got low blowed, had a groin shot that unfortunately had the fight to be stopped. And McVeigh in his last fight, I believe he fought Bruno Ferreira, and I think he got armbarred or something of that nature. Both haven't impressed me so far in the UFC. I've seen more out of Dumas than I have McVeigh. I think McVeigh fought on the Dana White Contender Series against Zachary Reese and immediately got finished. And then Dumas, I think, has a win in the UFC. He's had some competitive fights, and he can mix it up pretty well. I think he's much faster and explosive on the feet than McVeigh is. McVeigh is known for throwing a high kick and putting together, ones and twos. It's really not too fast. It's not too explosive. Just got to watch out for the head kick. I think Dumas is going to be able to intertwine the grappling as well as the striking. I think he's just a little bit more well-rounded, and I think for the money line that you can get him at plus money, I think this is a steal for value. I think Dumas is the better fighter as well. So for those reasons, I'm going to go with Dumas to get it done. I think he will win by decision. I think this fight will go all 15 minutes, and I think it's really going to come down to the grappling of Dumas, the offensive grappling. I think he'll maybe land a takedown here or there. I think he'll have a lot of top control time, and it'll steal a lot of the rounds. So 29-28, maybe 30-27. I'm going to go with Dumas to get it done. And in the next fight, we have Eric McConaughey versus Adolfo Vieira. To me, this is a pretty easy fight for me to pick, but I was pretty impressed against Susurkayev the way Eric McConaughey was able to press forward and actually show some pretty good striking, and he wasn't afraid to exchange with Susurkayev, at least in the first and second round. I think in the third round he got clipped to the body or he got knocked out or something like that against him. But Adolfo Vieira, I think since he's joined the UFC and when he fought Anthony Hernandez and he got submitted, I think the striking is really improved. I think the grappling is really improved. I know he's coming off a huge knockout loss against Bo Nickel, but Bo Nickel's fighting on the White House card. He's a top prospect. He's one of the greatest collegiate wrestlers ever, and Adolfo Vieira is known for the wrestling, so I was kind of forced to stay on his feet. But I really like his jab, and I like his boxing, and I think he's very good with his lead jab. I think it really controls a lot of the fight, and obviously if the fight gets to the ground, you have no chance. His jiu-jitsu, I think he's like a 7-time jiu-jitsu world champion. He's one of the most decorated jiu-jitsu champions in the history of jiu-jitsu. So I think Vieira will be able to win this fight. I think he's going to be able to control the fight with the jab. I think he'll eventually be able to get the grappling, and I think he will submit Eric McConaughey. So for me, I got Vieira getting it done by second round submission. I think the first round will be a feel-out process. Vieira will land a jab. He'll just maybe shoot a couple times just to get him scared of the threat of the takedown. And then I think eventually he'll be able to land the takedown, pass guard, and be able to get a submission on him. So I got Adolfo Vieira to get it done by submission second round. And in the next fight, we have Marcus Buchecha versus Ryan Spann. This is a pretty interesting fight. Buchecha in his last fight against Kennedy Nzechukwu had a draw. It was a lot of grappling. And he didn't want to get hit. He didn't want to strike. He didn't want to do any damage. He just wanted to control, look for submissions, and that was good for him. But Ryan Spann, on the other hand, will test your chin, and he'll throw some bombs at you. And if you try to shoot on him, I mean, the thing that he's known for is that guillotine. So for me, I think Ryan Spann's more well-rounded. I think he's a little bit more comfortable on the feet. He's also fought higher level competition in the UFC as well. So for me, I mean, he's got 36 fights now. I think he's coming off of a win by guillotine as well. Buchecha's coming off of a pretty disappointing draw. For me, I think Ryan Spann's the play here. I think obviously he's going to be the better striker. And if it does get into the grappling, if Buchecha does shoot a double leg or anything like that, I think Ryan Spann will be able to turn around and get him in a guillotine and finish him there too. I think Spann's better. Buchecha does have a chance to be able to get him to the ground. And if he could control him, then, Ryan Spann might be cooked. But for me, I'm going to go with Ryan Spann to get it done. I think he will get it done by TKO. I think he'll stuff a takedown. He'll land a big shot. Buchecha will cover up, and he'll give up and call it a day. So I'm going to go with Ryan Spann to get it done by TKO in the first round. And in the next fight, we have Montel Jackson versus Raoni Barcelos. For me, this is an interesting fight because Jackson, you see all of these good qualities that he has. I mean, he's very explosive. The striking's very good. He's got good grappling as well. He's very well-rounded, and he has everything that it takes to potentially become top 5 fighter, maybe a guy that can fight for a title one day, but not enough activity. In his last 2 fights, he fought Daniel Marcos. He fought Davison Figueiredo. He lost to Figueiredo, and Figueiredo's been losing to pretty much everybody as of recent. And it's just because he didn't have enough output. He wasn't able to put enough out there. And I think Barcelos, coming off of a pretty big win against Peyton Talbot, and he came off a big win against Ricky Simon, where he landed a takedown against Simon. He also beat Cody Garbrandt. I think he's just trending in the right directions. I think he's showing that he's one of the best bantamweights in the world. The striking's very good. The grappling's very good. I mean, if you're able to out-grapple Ricky Simon, and then if you're able to outstrike, and get Cody Garbrandt to the ground as well, I think you're a pretty special fighter. And obviously, Peyton Talbot, he dominated for the majority of the fight. So for me, I'm going to go with Raoni Barcelos. I think he just has more ways to get it done. If this fight stays on the feet, I think he's good for him. If the fight goes to the ground, I think he potentially has the better wrestling, and he's going to be able to control the fight at his pace and what he wants to do. So Montel Jackson, I think, will be able to be a little bit more explosive and has more opportunities for knockouts, but Barcelos is just too well-rounded. I think he's fought too many high-level guys, and I think he will win this fight by decision due to Montel Jackson not having enough output like he does in all of his other fights. He's, taking pictures, looking too much for the kill shot, not enough, just, taking a lot of risks. So for me, Barcelos gets it done. I think he'll enter intertwine the grappling, and I think he'll be able to get a decision victory, 29-28, 30-27, and he's going to be able to get it done. And in the next fight, we have Davey Grant versus Juan Adrian Martinetti. Martinetti came off of against Mark Volgadin, one of the greatest Dana White Contender Series fights. Hell, even one of the greatest fights ever. One of the greatest 3-round fights ever, at least. You know, Josh Hogan and Curtis Blades just stole that. But, yeah, I mean, he's had one of the coolest performances and one of the most exciting fights that we've ever seen. And this is a really good fight for him because Davey Grant is going to bring the fight to you. He's not always going to win striking exchanges. He's not always going to look too impressive, but he's going to push forward. He's going to have a good chin, and he's going to test yours. And I think this is going to be a really good striking match. I think Martinetti's just way cleaner on the feet. Also, really good record. I mean, 17-1. I think he's just a little too clean on the feet. Lacks a lot of power, so he's going to have to, later in the second and third rounds, avoid, maybe fatiguing and the cardio catching up to him. He also lands a lot of good leg kicks as well. But Davey Grant, I mean, he's known for sticking around all 15 minutes and testing you and pushing you pretty hard. And if you break, he will break you. And if your chin is out there, he'll touch it. So I do think Martinetti is the better fighter. I think he's the better striker. He's going to be a little bit more clean, a little bit more fast. And I think for those reasons, I'm going to go with Martinetti to get it done. I think the Volgadin fight for him was a good thing. He was tested. It showed his durability. It showed his toughness, and he was able to pull out the W. So for those reasons, I'm going to go with Martinetti to get it done by decision. I think he'll piece up Davey Grant. Davey Grant's striking defense has never been too good, and I think Martinetti will find the target just a little too often. So for those reasons, 30-27, I think Martinetti gets it done pretty clearly. And in the next fight, we have Alexander Hernandez versus Rafa Garcia. This is a pretty interesting fight. I know that Alexander Hernandez is coming in on a 4-fight win streak. I think Garcia is coming in on a 3-fight win streak. I think he got a win over Jared Gordon. That was a banger, and I think he got the finish. And then Alexander Hernandez, I mean, he just fought Diego Ferreira. He fought Chase Hooper, Kurt Holobaugh, and then I think he fought Austin Hubbard, the two guys on the ultimate fighter finale, and he's on a 4-fight win streak. I think he's much more well-rounded than Rafa Garcia is. I think he has the grappling. I think he has the striking. Rafa Garcia is a really good boxer. And if the boxing's not working, he can grapple against the cage and potentially go for takedowns. But I think Hernandez is going to be a little too good. He's going to mix it up with kicks and body kicks, leg kicks. I think he'll be able to throw a good amount of strikes in there. He can make it dirty if he needs to. He's got the good cardio. Both of them do. I think this will be a pretty dirty fight. It's going to be back and forth. Guys are both landed on one another. I'm a little afraid that Garcia is a little bit too strong for him, and if he touches him, I think he could put him away. But I do think Hernandez is much more well-rounded. If the fight gets to the ground, I trust Hernandez. If the fight stays on the feet, I trust Hernandez being able to stay at range and land kicks and be able to keep his distance and do a good job with his striking defense and his offense. So for those reasons, I'm going to go with Hernandez to get it done. I see another decision here. It should be a banger. This should be a really fun fight. But yeah, I'm going to go to Hernandez to get it done by decision. And in the co-main event, we have Norma Dumont versus Jocelyn Edwards. This is a really good fight. This is a very important fight for the weight class as well. I think they're going to be two top 10 fighters fighting tomorrow. I think Dumont is obviously a little bit better with the grappling. I think Edwards at range, and if it stays on the feet and she's able to poke her jab out there and land good kicks, I think she's going to be able to have an advantage on the feet. Dumont is a heavy striker. Dumont's a very good striker in her own right. But I think if Dumont can mix in the wrestling and can mix in the striking a little bit more than Jocelyn Edwards can, I think this is easily her fight. The one way that we see Jocelyn Edwards get beat, Eileen Perez gets her to the ground. That's how she loses. Every other fight, she stays on the feet. She's won 4 in a row, 5 in a row. Norma Dumont, same thing. If she can't get the takedowns, if she can't mix in her grappling with the striking, I don't think she wins. But, Norma Dumont should win this fight. I think the grappling will be the ultimate decider here. Jocelyn Edwards just in her entire career struggled with the grappling. And I think Dumont has enough offensive grappling in her repertoire to be able to get the job done. I think even if this fight does stay on the feet, Dumont still has a pretty good chance. But Jocelyn Edwards, I don't see her mixing in any grappling and doesn't have any reason to. So Dumont just has more ways to win. And for me, that's enough for me to go with her. So Dumont gets it done by decision. I think it'll be a lot of striking, and then eventually it'll get to the cage. Maybe Dumont lands a takedown here or there, steals a couple of the rounds, and she's able to get out there with the decision victory. I got unanimous decision, 30-27, 29-28. Norma Dumont clearly gets it done. And in the main event, we have Aljamain Sterling versus Yusuf Zalal. This is a big step up in competition for Zalal. I mean, he just fought Josh Emmett, who was a big step up in competition, but Josh Emmett was also, I believe, 42 years old, coming in off of a lot of losses. He just lost to Kevin Vallejos as well by first round KO. So a lot of people have been beating Josh Emmett recently. So it's not really aging too well, and maybe it was expected that Yusuf Zalal goes in there and gets it done. But back in 2021, 2022, I believe he fought Damon Blackshear to a draw. And then he took a year off, and then he had a 6-fight win streak where 2024, 2025, he fought Josh Emmett, he fought Calvin Kattar, I think he fought, I'm trying to remember the names, Billy Carntillo. I think he has a couple submission wins. Some of his fights can be a little bit boring, but he knows how to point fight. He's a good enough striker, and he's a really good grappler, and the jiu-jitsu is really high level, and he's very good. But this is Aljamain Sterling. This is a guy that debatably beat Movsar Evloev. This is a guy that just came off in 50-45, 49-46, Brian Ortega, where he used striking for the entire fight. So the striking is improved. I really like his jab. I really like his combinations as of late. I think the striking is not going to be too much of a difference, but the grappling will. And for me, and for my money, I think Aljamain Sterling still at this weight class and in the weight class below is top 5, top 3 greatest grapplers in the division. And I think if it really does get to a grappling match, there's not a guy you'd want to rather have in a grappling exchange at 135 or 145 than this guy. I mean, he debatably out-grappled Evloev, who's only known for grappling, essentially. And in the Lerone Murphy fight, to be fair, he showed a lot of good striking in the fourth and fifth round. But nonetheless, Aljamain Sterling should be the pick here. He's a very good grappler. He's gone 5 rounds multiple times. He's fought the highest of highest competition, Sean O'Malley, Henry Cejudo. He's fought Corey Sandhagen. I mean, the list goes on and on and on and on. And obviously Evloev, and since coming up to the division, they both fought Calvin Kattar. They both dominated Calvin Kattar. So to me, Aljamain Sterling is a pretty easy pick here. I think he's going to be pretty much better everywhere. Early on, I think Yusuf Zalal will have an advantage on the feet. I think he might be a little bit faster, a little bit more explosive on the feet. But man, it's hard to go against the former champ at this spot against a guy that's only fought against Josh Emmett as his top competition. Now, to be fair, he did fight Ilia Topuria early on in his career. This is an earlier Ilia, but Ilia grappled him and dominated him. So this is a really big step up in competition because at that point Topuria wasn't Topuria. It's hard to say that he fought a prime Topuria, and even when he didn't fight a prime Topuria, he still got dominated. So for me, Aljamain Sterling is the pick here. I think once it gets to the 4th and 5th round, I think Aljamain Sterling will pull ahead. I think it'll be early. The first 3 rounds, I think it'll be very close. You could be either way. And I think Aljamain's experience, and I do think the grappling, how good he is, I think he is going to be able to get it done, and I think he's going to win by decision. I think 48-47, 49-46, I think he gets it done by decision. So thank you guys for listening to this week's predictions, and we will see you guys next week for Carlos Prates versus Jack Della Maddalena. Peace.